Our next presenter herself is a Hall of Famer. She was inducted into the New Jersey Lacrosse Foundation Hall of Fame for women's lacrosse. She coached here at Drew for the 1989 and 1990 seasons before moving on to the Division I level and currently on to lots of other adventures that you'd want to ask her about, coaching internationally, retiring, but still involved in women's lacrosse. With great pleasure, Denise Westcott.
So I was driving here and I thought of, there's always two things I remember about Drew. One was that I always felt like there were more squirrels on campus than actually students. The second thing is, at my 35 years of coaching on a college level, it was probably one of the most fun places to work, and it probably was where I felt like we were most the family in the athletic department. So it was just a great time for me and a great way to get started in my head coaching lacrosse and field hockey career. I'd like to thank Drew for this evening and this celebration, and I want to congratulate all of the inductees. It's funny that I'm here with actually two players that I coached, Melissa at the beginning of my head coaching career, and Jane Carger, who is the current women's lacrosse coach here. I coached her near the end of my college coaching career. And I know three things about these two women. They both worked hard every day to grow and to be better. They gave me everything they could as athletes in every practice, in every game, and every time they touched the field. I also know that they are also outstanding people. Pat Summitt once said, "You can't always be the strongest or most talented or most gifted person in the room, but you can be the most competitive." Well, Melissa was all those things. She was gifted, strong, talented, and most of all, competitive. She hadn't played lacrosse before she got to school, and we talked her into picking up a lacrosse stick. It was hard to have her on the field because I think she thought lacrosse should be kind of like ice hockey, so there were a lot of red cards when she was on the field. But I remember one day we lost to Rutgers. We actually played Rutgers back then, and we got killed. So Maureen Horan-Pease, who was the head coach, thought, we really need to pump these guys up. Let's bring them in, and let's have every player talk about one thing that was positive in the game today. Well, we were just going through things like, people's shoes were tied. I think one girl said, "I liked our uniforms better than theirs." And I'm looking at Missy, and I thought she was just ready to punch somebody. She really hated losing. So we finally get to her, and she said something like, "Well, we positively made Rutgers feel good about themselves. And we positively need to work on throwing and catching." She hated to lose. But I thought we were on the same page. And I really felt every minute that I coached Melissa. She was a Division I athlete. She had a Division I mentality. And she had a Division I work ethic. That's why she produced here. I love coaching the teams at Drew. They played because they loved the game. They worked hard in the weight room, running and at practices. They stopped in the office all the time and tried to get in extra work, or at least chat and talk about their lives and things that were going on. They were selfless. We even took a field player at one point and had to put her in the goal cage, and her answer to me was, "Whatever you need, coach." I'm not sure the athletes would do that nowadays, but they did back then. Melissa, to me, is the definition of leadership, the ability to motivate a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. She was a great leader, a great role model. She was fun and positive, and she was a coach's dream. The first one to the field and the last one to leave. always working on her game, taking extra shots, helping her teammates get better, supporting her teammates on and off the field. She was an outstanding captain. But it wasn't about the accolades. To her, it was about winning games and having fun. All right? She always did whatever was necessary for the team for us to be successful. And that's hard to find nowadays. Melissa loved to sit on the goalie's pads in field hockey, tipping the ball around the goalie, taking the rebound off of her legs and slamming the ball back in, taking corners. I remember I still have a lump on one of my ankles because I was back by the cage working with a goalkeeper, and she's taking a corner hit that I wasn't watching. I was watching the goalkeeper, and next thing I know, smacked the hell out of the side of my ankle, and there's still a lump there. That's how hard she could hit the ball. I always used to think, God, this kid would go through a brick wall to get to the ball, literally. I don't know if you remember, we used to do this one drill where we actually stacked cinder blocks in front of the goal cage so that they could work on, we'd hit the ball on the cinder blocks and it would come off fast. They'd have to work on getting the rebound and putting it through the holes of the cinder blocks or lifting it over the goal. And this one, with her big feet, flies in there one day. The bricks go flying, she's flying, and all I hear is this laughter behind it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she killed herself. But literally, she knocked the whole wall down. So I get up to her, and she's laughing on the ground behind this wall. And yet she's pointing at me because she's pointing at the ball, because somehow she put the ball in the cage while she went over the brick wall. And I thought, well, she proved it to me. You played with reckless abandonment. You were a hard worker, you were tough, you were intelligent, passionate, selfless, determined, fearless, energetic, and you were always hungry to learn and get better. You just loved to play, and you loved your teammates, and you loved taking on challenges on and off the field, in the classroom, and then in life. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Melissa had a devastating knee injury. Unfortunately, it wasn't on a field, it was on the ski slopes. But it took her a long time to recuperate. While she wasn't on the field, she was at every practice. She pushed her teammates, she encouraged her teammates, and she coached from the sidelines. When she finally did get back on the field, she scored 49 goals in her career and 21 in her senior year. She's an all-MAC, all-regional, all-American, and played in the Field Hockey National All-Star Game. But that's not why she played. Maureen Haran-Pease was right. Her greatest asset is her heart. Nothing great ever happens without passion. This passion, I think, comes from her family. Her husband, Kevin, is here with their children, Gabriella, Caroline, and Mason. Her brother, Rick, is here. But there's two people that I want to talk about that aren't here, her parents. Sandra, best meatballs ever at the tailgates. And her father, who never missed one game, home or away. I just remember him always standing at the edge of the field, because we would talk and then we'd play, coaches would meet, and he would wait for her right at the end of the field with a big hug, regardless of whether we won or lost. He'd let her vent, because she'd always vent when we lost. He'd congratulate her when she did things well. And I think there were a few times that maybe there was some construction criticism from him, but he was always there. I think her passion for sports, her passion in life, comes from her family. She also now coaches field hockey and basketball and lacrosse. She teaches life lessons. She told me that, and I thought, boy, if there's one thing that I always want my athletes to walk away with, is that when we teach a sport, it's really not about X's and O's. It's about teaching them to learn about life. Well, I know she does that when she coaches. Melissa, I know your parents are here today. I know they're sharing in this celebration. I know they're proud of the accolades that you achieved at Drew, but they're even more proud of the person that you've become. Melissa DellaRusso, Sweeney, come on up.
Wow, okay. First of all, thank you very much. This is a true honor, and like Matt, I sort of lost touch with Drew a little bit, but when I got the call about this, it brought me right back, and Drew was definitely the right place for me. And before I start that, let me just tell you, humble Matt over there was probably one of the best soccer players I saw play. It was a pleasure in watching you play very fast. Mia Hamm once said, "If you don't love what you do, you won't do it with much conviction or passion." And I'm a firm believer in that. You have to love what you do, and it has to be in your inner self. Drew Athletics was a special place for me. It was a family. Coach said I was a Division I athlete in a Division III school. How did I get at Drew? I played in high school, and I was recruited by Division I schools. I went on my recruiting trips, and I thought to myself, I'm a female athlete. There's more to life than sports. I ended up doing a PG year at Phillips Exeter in New Hampshire, and it taught me a lot. Taught me how to study. Taught me how to stop and appreciate, play my sport that I love, but also exceed and excel as a person. When I went to go visit a Division III school in Maine, the coach said to my parents, "Can I speak to Missy alone?" And they said, "Sure." Went in her office, and she said, "You're not coming here, are you?" I said, "I'm not going to school in Maine." And she said, "I have the perfect school for you." She made a phone call. The next thing I knew, I was on a plane. My father said, "She's no dummy. She got you out of the conference." I ended up at Drew. Coach Horan, I walked on the campus with her, and I fell in love with the forest. It was the perfect place for me. I had great friends. I wouldn't have been the player I was keyword, without my teammates, Margaret, Kara, Tanya Mack playing behind me. I always tell my kids that I coach now, there's no offense and there's no defense. It depends who has the ball. The team works together as one. You move the field from the back up to the front, you work as offense. You lose the ball in possession, everybody's defense. It's one flow, and that's how we play, and I truly believe that. My parents are probably the biggest role models. They were at every game. My father never missed anything. If he could have been at the practices, he would have been at the practices. They were very good, though. They didn't say much. They held this loose leash on me. They let me fall. They let me go skiing when I shouldn't have. And they never said anything. They just were there to support me and to guide me and help me. There are a couple of people I definitely need to thank outside my teammates and the Drew coaches. And that is Dr. John Hurley, who performed the surgery on me when I got hurt. And by his words, they really struck hard with me. He told me I would never play sports again unless I wasn't committed to my rehab. Well, as Kara can tell you as my roommate, 10 hours on the mobility machine was a lot of fun for her as my roommate. He definitely helped me in getting there, and also we had a trainer back then, Renee. She was my lifesaver. She stretched me out before games. She helped me after the game. She put me on the cold, sure, Matt and Margaret and Kara remember, and all you guys know this now, the cold ice bath. It's a lot of fun. But without those dedicated Drew Athletic Department people, we wouldn't be the athletes we are today, or were back then. So don't forget to thank them for every moment that they tape your ankle or are there for you before your game, because they truly care and they're there for your health and safety. This is an honor to be here today. I made it into the High School Hall of Fame, my High School Hall of Fame. I think I was 5 years out of college. And I think the biggest difference is back then I was, probably still in my head might have been a little big and walking around holding the scoring record there. But this is a different perspective. I'm older, I have children, I coach. I've coached all my children, even my son. I have helped coach baseball. They won't let me on the ice hockey bench yet, but I'll get there. But it's special because it's not only about being an athlete, it's about being a person, and it is about teaching life lessons, especially females in sports. You can be the best athlete, but you need to be a good person, and you need to be true to yourself, and you need to find your inner strength. And you're only as good as your team. Another person I'd like to thank who's not here tonight is Tom Kane, who was the president when we were in school. He was a very big Field Tucky fan, and that was pretty awesome to have the president of your school at almost every home game, and I think he would go to the away ones if he could. So he would ride his bike down to the field and say hi to every one of us and be there for us. Having my family here, my husband and my 3 kids and my brother, is an honor. And I would just tell them to stay true to yourself and work hard, because work truly does pay off. And go Rangers.